My name is Noah Calder, 32 years old. The room glowed like a well-edited memory. Soft uplights along the brick, a string quartet tucked near the bar, pretending they couldn't see 80 people calculating who'd post first. My father toasted off-key, my aunt cried into napkins she'd folded like lilies, and I stood next to the man I thought I would marry, Caleb Rhodes, with a smile I had rehearsed in the bathroom mirror for weeks. It had taken me a year to afford what he'd been hinting at with the precision of a campaign, a platinum signet ring he'd bookmarked by accident on my iPad, and a limited edition watch he'd mentioned the way some people mention weather. Nothing crass, never a demand, just a breadcrumb trail of screenshots, oh looks, and his best friend saying, "Dude, imagine the photos." I told myself it was love dressed as aesthetics. I saved, budgeted, took an extra freelance project, and watched the number climb toward "I can do this." The quartet slipped into something buoyant. The open bar loosened conversations into laughter that clung to the rafters. Caleb held court near his old college crowd, Sienna among them, his ex, now just a friend, with a dress that looked like a dare. I carried plates, answered questions, floated between families like a translator. Every now and then, I glanced at Caleb's hand and the way the platinum caught light. I'd picked the signet because it felt like him, clean lines, decisive. He liked how it felt when people noticed. By 10:30, he was on his fourth glass of champagne, a flush blooming high on his cheekbones. The circle around him widened when someone said, "Caleb, man, that ring," and his laughter rolled out too loud. I was close enough to hear and far enough to pretend I wasn't listening. "Honestly," he said, thrusting his hand into the light, "I only said yes because the ring is perfect. Look at it." His friends laughed, the way people laugh when they're not sure if they should. "Come on," Sienna purred, too quick with her rescue. "He's joking." Caleb grinned, sloppy and unafraid. "No, I mean, this is right. Marriage? I don't know. But this?" He tilted his wrist so the watch flashed. "This is forever." The quartet kept playing as if music could be a stretcher. Conversations around us hiccuped, then stalled. My mother's mouth softened into the shape of a prayer she didn't believe in, and Sienna's eyes flicked to me, curious, almost merciful. I waited for Caleb to catch up with his own words, to walk them back, to stitch something human over the hole he'd just ripped in our night. He took another sip instead. "Relax," he said to no one and everyone. "It's a joke. I mean..." He wobbled slightly, steadying himself on the bar. "Noah's great. It's just rings, watches, details matter, right?" "Caleb," I said. He turned, surprise flicking across his face like a shadow. "Babe." "Thanks for the honesty," I said. My voice was calm enough that he didn't register the undertow at first. Then I took his left hand in mine, slid the platinum signet from his finger with the same care I used to put it there, and slipped the watch free of his wrist. He tried to pull back, but drunk coordination is a soft thing. The clasp surrendered with a click that sounded like a judge's gavel. "What are you doing?" He reached, but I had already stepped away. "Keeping what's mine," I said, loud enough for the truth to carry. "Since that's apparently all you wanted." Sienna's mouth opened and closed. His best friend stared at the empty space on Caleb's hand like it was a missing tooth. On the other side of the room, my aunt stopped crying, as if she needed both hands to hold the moment still. "Babe, it was a joke," Caleb said, pleading now, a boy who'd accidentally turned off the lights. "You know how I get when I'm..." "Drunk," I supplied. "Free? Honest?" His face sharpened. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" I asked. "Listen again. You said you only said yes because the ring was perfect. You said you don't know about marriage." "It's a party," he protested, glancing around as phones angled like sunflowers toward us. "People say things." "People say things," I repeated, and felt something inside me click into place. Not rage, not grief. Clarity. "Congratulations," I added lightly. "You gave me your answer." I turned to the cluster of guests nearest us, because if we were a spectacle, then we might as well be useful. "If anyone asks why we ended our engagement," I said, "please feel free to quote him directly." Her father, Caleb's, materialized at my elbow with the smile of a man who negotiates for a living. "Noah, let's not make a scene." "We already made one," I said. "He directed it." "You could handle this privately," his mother hissed, tapping her manicure against the stem of her glass. "This was public," I said evenly. "So are the consequences." Across the room, the venue coordinator caught my eye, a quick, sympathetic nod. The videographer she'd hired had drifted closer during the toast, camera trained on faces, on hands. I didn't ask for the footage. I didn't need to. The way her shoulders relaxed told me she had already saved what mattered. Caleb took a step toward me, hand out. "Give me the ring, Noah. We'll talk tomorrow." "It's a conditional gift," I said, feeling more like a woman reading weather than a woman breaking her life in half. Condition unmet. His friends had stopped pretending not to watch. Sienna's mouth slanted into something between pity and satisfaction. It was hard to tell which parts of her wanted me to stay and which parts wanted me to run, so she could slide into the space I vacated and call it fate. My brother, from across the room, made the smallest motion with his head, a lighthouse beckoning me toward shore. I slipped both pieces into my clutch, closed it, and felt their weight settle. The quartet was still playing, poorly now, a violin string choosing protest. I walked toward the door without rushing because I refused to hurry for anyone's comfort. "Behind me, Noah!" My name hit the brick and came back thinner. By the time I reached the coat check, my phone had already started its campaign. Caleb, 12 messages in 2 minutes. His mother, unknown numbers that were not unknown at all. Outside, October air smoothed the heat from my face. The valet offered an umbrella against a drizzle that felt like the evening reconsidering itself. I tipped him too much, because kindness deserved interest even on nights that didn't. In the car, I set the clutch on the passenger seat and stared at the ring and watch, as if they might rewrite the last 5 minutes if I asked nicely. They didn't. The screen lit again. Sienna, no message, just the preview of a typing bubble that pulsed and vanished, returned and vanished. I put the phone face down on the console and drove home with the radio off so I could hear my own spine. My apartment swallowed me the way places do when they recognize their person. I put the ring and watch on the coffee table and sat on the floor, back against the couch, knees drawn up, breath counting itself back from the ledge. On the table, the platinum looked expensive and ridiculous in equal measure, like a prop from a play that had just closed. The notifications stacked themselves into a small city on my lock screen. Caleb, "I'm sorry, I was drunk. Please pick up." Caleb's mom, "You embarrassed him. Fix this." Caleb's dad, "We need to talk about contracts and deposits." Unknown, "You're cruel." Another unknown, "Are you okay? I saw what happened." Mom, "Come here if you need. Love you." Then the venue coordinator's name popped up. "Marla, Vine and Vault." I answered. "Hey," she said gently, "I'm so sorry." "Not your fault," I said. The videographer captured the entire bar interaction. Clean audio. I archived a copy in case you need it. No charge. Kindness is a lever. It moved something inside me I hadn't realized was stuck. "Thank you," I said, and meant it separately from everything else. After we hung up, I placed the ring back into its velvet box, set the watch beside it, and covered them both with a napkin left over from cake service because I didn't want to see them looking back at me. I poured water, drank it, repeated. My phone buzzed again, relentless. "Caleb, please don't do this. It was a joke. You know me." Me, finally. "I do. That's why we're done." 3 dots, nothing. 3 dots again, nothing. At 2 a.m., the building settled around me, the familiar creak of old wood making room for new choices. I lay down on the rug for a while, cheek against the cool fiber, and let the night stop asking me questions. When sleep finally came, it wasn't tender, but it was honest. In the morning, I would wake up to more calls, more strategies, and the sudden pressure of other people's shame looking for a home. For now, I had the truth. It fit. Morning arrived like a bad apology, late, loud, and acting as if sleep could fix the night. I woke on the couch with a crease pressed into my cheek and the velvet ring box sitting on the coffee table where I'd left it, a small, expensive confession. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, striping the floor with proof that the world keeps going regardless. The pounding started at 8:07 a.m., urgent, unashamed. I checked the peephole and saw Caleb in last night's suit, tie gone, eyes rimmed in red. I opened the door a fraction and left the chain on. "Noah," he said, soft, rehearsed, "please." "You said what you meant," I replied. "I was drunk." The word came out like a life raft. It wasn't the drunk part that bothered me. It was the honest part. He closed his eyes, swallowed. "Can I come in? Just to talk. We've been together 4 years." The chain slid back with a sound that felt like a boundary scraping against habit. I let him inside and stayed standing. He sat, then stood, then sat again, a man who didn't trust chairs. His eyes flicked to the velvet box and the watch beside it, both under the napkin like covered dishes at the world's worst brunch. He started with the script. The night got big. Everyone was asking about the ring, about your big plans, he said, making air quotes he couldn't afford. I panicked, made a dumb joke. I didn't mean it. You know me. I do, I said. That's why it landed the way it did. He wet his lips. I love you. Which part? The idea of me or the actual me? I asked. Because last night you loved the ring and the watch. You were specific about that. He flinched. I love you, he repeated, louder, like volume could make it true. Can we work through this? Counseling, if you want. We can push the date, keep things quiet. Keep things quiet? I asked. After you said what you said in a room full of phones? He exhaled through his nose, found anger because remorse was heavy. You made it a spectacle. You made it a line item, I replied. You said you only said yes because the ring was perfect. I didn't mishear you. He stared at the napkin like it might catch fire. Can I at least have the ring back while we figure this out? No, I said. It's a conditional gift. No marriage, no ring. Look it up. He blinked at me like I'd spoken a dialect he refused to learn. You're being petty. I'm being precise. He stood. Fine. Keep it. Post the video too if that's where this is going. Humiliate me. I didn't say anything about the video, I said, and watched the flicker of panic betray him. Word travels fast when you've trained it to. The door knocked again. Soft, well-bred. His mother. I didn't open it. She called through anyway, voice thick with performative worry. Noah, sweetheart, we just want to help. Caleb's devastated. He said you overreacted. Caleb stared at the door, then at me. Please, don't involve them. You involved them when you performed for them, I said. His phone vibrated. He glanced at it. Sienna's worried, he said too quickly. Of course she is, I said. She was standing close enough to catch you if you fell. Don't do that, he snapped. Don't make this about her. You made it about her when you needed someone to laugh, I said. We're done. He looked at me for a long time as if he might discover a different ending written somewhere on my face. Then he left. His mother's voice trailed after him in the hall. Did she give it back? And I closed the door on the answer. By 10, my phone was uninhabitable. His parents, his sister, 2 of his college friends, and a number with a boutique area code that turned out to be Sienna. Her first text, "You okay?" last night was a lot. Her second, "For what it's worth, he's always like that when he drinks. He says things he doesn't mean." Her third, faster, "He does love you. He picked that ring because he thought it would look good on you." I typed and erased twice, then wrote, "He loved how it looked on him." She replied with a ... then a different tactic. "He's terrified. We all say stupid things when we're scared." "I don't confuse fear with contempt," I wrote back, and muted her thread. At noon, the venue coordinator, Marla, texted me a download link. "Pulled the bar audio for you. Clean. Keep it safe." I watched the clip once. The laughter too loud. Caleb's words clear. My face, still, composed in the way you get when stillness is the only thing you can control. I saved it to 3 places and turned my phone face down again. The spin began around 1. A long caption on Caleb's Instagram from his Notes app font, heroic in its vagueness. I made an offhand joke at our engagement party that was taken out of context in a stressful moment. I love Noah deeply and hope we can resolve this privately. Please respect our privacy during this difficult time. Sienna commented, a white heart, and be kind. His mother posted a filtered photo of the 2 of us and wrote, "Every relationship faces storms. Don't judge what you don't understand." My hands shook, not with rage, but with the recognition of a machine I had seen before. Smooth statements greased with adjectives, the suggestion that truth is rude, the implication that I was fragile and therefore wrong. My best friend Maya arrived without asking, arms full of groceries and her mouth already angry on my behalf. "I brought soup," she said, "because women like us always bring soup." She saw the ring box, the watch under the napkin, the way I held my jaw like it might otherwise fall off, and set everything down quietly. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm awake," I said. "It's loud." She nodded. "You want to be louder?" I thought about it, about quiet dignity and strategic noise, about how rumor loves a vacuum. 3 hours later, after his post had marinated and the comments filled with people accusing me of being dramatic, unstable, ungrateful, after his sister DM'd to suggest I apologize to her mother for the scene, After his father texted me a spreadsheet of deposits and the words, "Be reasonable," I posted the video. No caption, no commentary, just 31 seconds of audio and light. His hand flashing with the watch, his mouth describing the ring as the only reason, my voice saying thanks for the honesty, the gesture of a ring sliding off, the watch clasp clicking free, the room's face changing shape. The reaction was immediate and indecent. Comments turned on their heels so fast they left skid marks. "Yikes," someone wrote. "Girl, I'm so sorry," another. Others asked if the ring was ethically sourced, because the internet cannot help itself. Someone slowed the audio and looped it into a meme that made me nauseous and then relieved me, because ridicule is a kind of justice too. Caleb called. I let it go to voicemail. Then his father texted, "Take it down, now. This is defamation." I responded, "Truth is a defense. It's also a mirror." At 5, a courier brought a letter with a law firm logo that looked like a chessboard. Demands: return the ring within 10 days. Pay half the wedding deposits, $12,000, issue a written apology for public humiliation, and remove the video or face legal action for intentional infliction of emotional distress. I scanned it twice and sent a photo to my attorney, Serena, who called within minutes, warmth undercutting steel. "Whoever wrote this does billboards," she said. "Here's our reply. The ring is a conditional gift. No marriage, no ring. Deposits were signed by him or his family, not your liability. The video was recorded at a public event with consent from the venue. You're within your rights to share it, and it's factually accurate. Truth kills defamation. And if the peanut gallery keeps harassing you, we document and move for protective orders." "He filed a police report?" I asked, because fear likes to invent futures. "If he does, send me everything," she said. "And Noah, do not delete a single message. Screenshots are umbrellas." Maya squeezed my shoulder and mouthed, "Breathe." I did. At 6, the maid of honor, Jess, texted from an unknown number. "Hey, we barely know each other, but I need to tell you something. I've heard Caleb say versions of last night when he's drunk. The ring thing. The details matter more." His friends laughed it off. I didn't. "I'm sorry I never said anything." "Thank you," I wrote. "Do you mind if I screenshot this?" "Do it," she replied. Also, Sienna has a group chat where she joked about upgrading the band after the wedding. I'm trying to get screenshots. She's not my friend, and I'm done being polite. A laugh escaped me. Small, shocked, grateful. "Women are the internet," Maya said, reading over my shoulder. "We cache everything." By 8, the temperature shifted. Caleb's post found itself under a pile of comments linking my video. His mother's filtered faith disappeared from her grid. Sienna pivoted to vague quotes about healing and deleted the white heart. My mother called to ask if I wanted to come over for the night. I said no. I wanted my own ceiling. At 9, Serena emailed me a draft of her response to the letter. It was beautiful in the way a knife can be beautiful when you need one. Careful citations, clipped sentences, an invitation to stop being ridiculous. She CC'd their firm and added a postscript about continued harassment being met with immediate action. I read it twice and felt the ground under my feet remember it was there. At 10, there was one more knock at my door. I left the chain on. "Who is it?" I asked. "Sienna," she said. "No," I replied, and waited for the sound of her leaving. She didn't. "You don't have to be cruel," she said through the door. "I'm not," I said. "I'm just finished." Silence. Then footsteps, then the elevator. I turned off the lights and sat in the dark with the ring box and the watch on the table, their edges catching a little streetlight. I thought of how I loved him, the way he laughed with his whole face when I beat him at Bananagrams, the quiet good he did when no one was looking, the inconvenient parts that didn't show up on Instagram. It hurt in a way that didn't ask for audience. My phone buzzed one last time. Serena again. P.S. Conditional gift law is firmly on your side. Sleep. I put the phone face down. Outside, a car alarm hiccuped 3 times, then gave up. I went to bed, not because the day had been resolved, but because I had been. In the morning, they would escalate. I could feel it like a change in pressure. Whisper campaigns, anonymous calls, a story rethreaded to fit a victim they could live with. I set the velvet box back in the drawer and whispered to the space, "I will not be volunteered." And then finally, I slept. The quiet didn't last long. By Monday, the silence had teeth. It began with the kind of chaos that arrives pretending to be coincidence. 1 wrong number call, then 2. A voice asking if the man in 3B still lived here. Then a voicemail from my landlord saying there had been a complaint, anonymous but serious, about a pattern of harassment toward a female resident. My stomach turned. I called him back immediately. That's not true. I live alone. He hesitated. I figured. It sounded off, but I have to log it. The caller mentioned you by name. Can you tell me what they said? That you've been showing up at someone's workplace and making threats. My breath caught. I haven't left this neighborhood in 3 days. He sighed. I believe you, Noah, but I have to document. If it continues, I'll need to follow protocol. You might want to start keeping records. Records! The word felt like déjà vu. I hung up, checked my security camera feed, and there she was. Sienna, standing in front of my door the night before, pretending to scroll her phone, glancing at the peephole every 30 seconds. She stayed nearly an hour before finally leaving. I saved the footage, labeled it with the date, and emailed it to Serena, my lawyer. Subject line, it's starting. By Tuesday, the internet had turned feral again. Sienna's friends began a whisper campaign, vague posts about controlling partners who use money as power, and men who take back gifts to punish women. No names, but everyone knew. Each post had a chorus of soft comments. Hope you're okay, sending love, men can be so cruel. It was a performance of empathy, staged for an audience that didn't care about facts. Maya sent me screenshots. They're testing the water, she said, seeing if you'll bite. I didn't. Instead, I sent everything to Serena. Her reply came fast. Keep your receipts. Whisper campaigns die when you turn up the volume with evidence. By Thursday, the police call came. Ms. Calder, Detective Morrison, Midtown PD, we received a report from Mr. Rhodes alleging harassment and stalking. Of course. I haven't contacted him, I said. He's been the one showing up here. I have video. Can you send it to me? Within 10 minutes, he had everything. Ring camera footage, screenshots of the texts, the threatening letters from his lawyer, even timestamps from my work calendar proving I was home every night that week. He called back within the hour. Ms. Calder, thank you. We're closing this. His story doesn't match evidence. We've advised him to stop contacting you. Did he say why he filed? Claimed you wouldn't return property. The property he publicly said was his reason for accepting a proposal? The detective chuckled softly. I saw the video. You're fine. But file for a restraining order, just in case. That kind of pattern tends to escalate. I already have a lawyer. Good, he said. You'll need her. Friday morning, Serena called before I'd even poured coffee. Morning, Noah. Ready for some news? Not really. Too bad, she said. Caleb's team just reached out. They want to negotiate. Negotiate what? She read from the email, voice dripping disbelief. They'll drop all claims to the ring and wedding deposits if you delete the video, retract public statements, and dismiss any legal actions. I laughed, sharp, humorless. So they'll stop lying about me if I erase the truth. Exactly, she said. You want my advice? Don't give them an inch. Good, she said, sounding almost proud, because I already declined. That night, as if on cue, another letter arrived. This one hand-delivered. Notice of intent to file for damages, emotional distress, lost wages, defamation. Serena told me not to even open it. It's theater, she said. He's trying to make you blink. But I did open it, just to see the language. It was sterile, impersonal, and somehow still cruel. Phrases like character damage and public humiliation leapt off the page like accusations from someone incapable of seeing himself clearly. I folded it neatly and slid it under the napkin on the coffee table, the same napkin that had once covered the ring and watch. Everything seemed to come back to that napkin. A boundary, a line drawn over what was his and what was mine. By Sunday, the harassment turned personal. A delivery I hadn't ordered, a bouquet of white lilies with a card that read, "Let's talk. One last time." No signature, but I didn't need one. Maya found me pacing in the kitchen, phone in hand, ready to dial Serena again. He's not going to stop, I said. He wants to control the ending. Then you give him one he can't touch, she replied. How? File it. And so I did. Monday morning, Serena filed for a temporary restraining order. The documentation was enough to make a judge frown. False police report, attempted eviction, anonymous complaints, social media harassment, unwanted deliveries. By Wednesday, Caleb was served. I heard about it from Maya, who got a text from a mutual friend. Apparently he'd lost it, angry enough to punch a wall at his office. His boss sent him home for the week. My phone didn't stop buzzing for hours. His sister, his mother, even Sienna. You're ruining his life. You're vindictive. You're blowing this out of proportion. I blocked every number. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and let the silence settle back around me like armor. The next morning, Serena called again. His lawyer reached out, she said. They're offering a clean break. Drop the restraining order, delete the video, and they'll publicly retract everything. No, I said immediately. Are you sure? It would end this. So would pretending none of it happened, I said. And I've done enough pretending. She paused, then smiled into the phone. That's the right answer. I'll tell them to go to hell, in lawyer terms. That weekend, I sold the ring, $12.85, and wired into my account before lunch. I used part of it to pay off my car, the rest to book a trip for Maya and me to Lisbon, a place I'd always wanted to see, where no one knew my name or the sound of my story. For the first time in months, I felt something like relief. But Serena was right. Patterns like Caleb's rarely fade quietly. So when she called on Monday to tell me about the upcoming hearing, a chance for him to contest the restraining order, I didn't flinch. He'll show up, she said. Maybe with his parents. Maybe with a new lawyer. Just keep your head up. Judges love calm. I can do calm, I said. I've been practicing. I looked around the apartment, clean, bright, quiet. The napkin on the table was gone. The space it left behind wasn't empty, it was free. Next week would bring courtrooms and questions, and the last time I'd have to look Caleb in the eye. I wasn't afraid. He'd already shown me everything I needed to see. The courthouse smelled like polished wood and old arguments. I stood by the metal detector, clutching a folder that contained my entire life in 12 months. Screenshots, letters, receipts, ring camera footage, printed emails, and a copy of the video that had started it all. Serena met me inside, immaculate in navy blue, her calm radiating through the hallway like a lighthouse beam. He's here, she said, nodding toward the benches outside courtroom 3. Caleb sat between his parents, his new lawyer beside him. The swagger I remembered, the one that used to fill every room before he even spoke, was gone. He looked smaller now, pale, edges dulled by exhaustion. His mother's hand gripped his knee, his father's eyes, cold as a ledger. When he looked up and saw me, something flickered in his face. Regret, maybe, or pride refusing to die quietly. Serena touched my arm. Deep breath. You don't have to speak unless the judge asks. Inside, the courtroom was colder. Judge Hernandez, silver hair pulled tight, glasses low on her nose, flipped through the file Serena had submitted 2 weeks prior. We'll keep this brief, she said. Ms. Calder, Mr. Rhodes, this is a hearing to determine whether a permanent restraining order is warranted. Caleb's lawyer, sleek, deliberate, stood first. Your Honor, my client has been unfairly vilified online by a viral video taken out of context. He's faced public ridicule, lost income, and emotional distress. He only reached out to Ms. Calder seeking resolution. A restraining order is excessive. The judge barely looked up. Did your client file a false police report alleging stalking? His lawyer hesitated. He misunderstood the situation. Did he contact her repeatedly after being told not to? Yes, but only to... Did he or anyone acting on his behalf attempt to contact her employer or landlord? He shifted. There were misunderstandings. Did he direct friends or third parties to post online about her character? No answer. The silence answered for him. The judge turned to Serena. Ms. Chen, anything to add? Serena rose, unhurried. Your Honor, you have in front of you sworn affidavits, police correspondence, and digital evidence establishing a clear pattern of harassment. My client has not spoken to Mr. Rhodes or his associates since the night of the incident. Every communication since then has been initiated by him or his circle. The video they call defamation is an unedited recording from a public event. The only distortion here is his denial. She paused, letting the words breathe. Ms. Calder wants peace, not revenge. She wants this to end. Judge Hernandez adjusted her glasses, then looked straight at Caleb. Mr. Rhodes, you said something you shouldn't have, and when consequences followed, you tried to rewrite the narrative. You filed false reports, attempted intimidation, and weaponized sympathy. That's not love, that's control. Caleb's face fell. His mother whispered something under her breath. His father glared at the floor. The gavel struck once, crisp and final. Restraining order granted for 1 year. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Caleb's lawyer started to protest, but the judge was already standing. We're done here. Outside, the air was bright and too honest. Serena exhaled first. That's that, she said. That's it? She smiled. Legally, yes. Emotionally. She tilted her head. That might take longer. I watched Caleb and his parents cross the parking lot. His mother was crying now. His father walked ahead, phone to his ear, already strategizing. Caleb turned once, maybe to say something, maybe to see if I was watching. I wasn't sure which hurt him more, the silence or the indifference. I got into Serena's car, stared out the window, and said quietly, "I thought I'd feel vindicated." "You feel free," she said. "Freedom doesn't always feel like fireworks. Sometimes it's just quiet." The weeks after the hearing unfolded in strange peace. The story that had once consumed my social feeds faded into yesterday's content. The video still existed, but the algorithms had moved on. People have short attention spans for other people's pain. The wedding deposits evaporated. Venue kept the deposit. Caterer refused a refund. Photographer charged cancellation fees. Caleb's family covered most of it, but word traveled that he'd moved back in with his parents and was on probation at work after HR caught wind of the incident. Sienna stopped posting her vague empowerment quotes. The Whisper campaign had gone silent. Maya and I flew to Lisbon in late spring. The air there smelled like oranges and salt, the kind of scent you can't bottle. On our first night, she asked if I ever missed him. Sometimes, I admitted, but mostly I missed the version of me who thought he was safe. She nodded, squeezing my hand. "That version of you built this one. Don't hate her for believing." When I got back home, I sold the apartment. Too many ghosts in the drywall. I found a small house on a quiet street, one with space for a studio. The first thing I unpacked was the velvet box, not to keep it, but to open it one last time. The ring was gone. I'd sold it months ago, but the indentation in the velvet was still there, shaped like a reminder. I didn't cry. I just closed the box, slid it into a drawer, and promised myself not to carry symbols that no longer served their story. Summer came and went. I started seeing a therapist who specialized in relationship trauma, a phrase that sounded clinical until she explained that control, disguised as affection, leaves scars you can't see. Some nights, when insomnia crept in, I'd replay that night at the party, not to relive it, but to remind myself that survival often looks like standing still while everything falls apart around you. By autumn, I felt different, lighter, steadier, like my spine had remembered it was mine. Almost a year later, Serena called. "He's asking for early termination of the restraining order," she said. "Says he's changed." "Does the law allow that?" "Not without your consent." "Then no." "Good," she said. "That's what I told the court." I hung up and laughed. Quiet, genuine. Not because I was bitter, but because sometimes closure sounds exactly like a one-word sentence. On the anniversary of the party, I hosted dinner for a few friends. Candlelight, laughter, the kind of noise that feels earned. Maya raised her glass. "To Noah," she said. "To choosing yourself." I smiled, to finally knowing what that means. The glasses clinked. The night went on. Later, alone, I stepped out onto the balcony. The city hummed below, indifferent and alive. I looked at the stars, small, patient, and thought about the version of me who'd stood under different lights at a party that wasn't meant to be, waiting for a promise that wasn't real. She'd learned something I would never forget. Sometimes you lose the person you wanted to spend your life with, and in the process, you find the version of yourself who deserves it. I closed my eyes and whispered to the dark, "I'm free." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it.